So let's start first. Yeah, gonna take up more time. So thanks everyone for coming. Really welcome you to our webinar. This is by Asia Startup Network and Wantedly. So today we are going to talk about whether you can explore entrepreneurship as a career option. So I think most of you here might be looking for a structured path to a startup dream. Am I right? And if that is so, I hope that we can learn how to explore entrepreneurship with clarity and confidence today. So the agenda today is as such. So we're going to introduce about ourselves, ASN, and also Wantedly. We're going to talk about some of the reasons why professionals struggle to start a business. We're going to talk quickly about what makes a good founder, and then how the bootcamp can potentially help you succeed. We also invite questions from all of you, and we hope to give you good insights so that you'll be able to make a decision whether you want to start entrepreneurship. Yeah, so about ASM first, we are founded in 2020. So right now we are a platform of more than 4,000 entrepreneurs, investors, and partners across Southeast Asia. Personally, we have touched the lives of at least 2,000 founders through our events and our programs. We are also usually the first port of call when someone foreign comes to Singapore startup ecosystem, because you'll be able to search for founders.sg, and this leads to our Slack community. So right now, our Slack community have more than 1,100 entrepreneurs and operators across Southeast Asia. Some of them are also from Europe and US. So now I invite Andrew to share about Wantedly.
Elise, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be collaborating for this session. I'm Andrew from Wantedly, and Wantedly is a HR tech company based in Japan with a mission to create a world where work drives passion. Next slide, please. Our HQ is based in Tokyo, and we were founded back in 2010. Launched internationally in 2017, and later on that same year, we listed on the Tokyo Stock Exchange. Wantedly's journey from startup with our mission to a successful listing to now creating impact for over 4 million job seekers has been a remarkable one. Our founder, Akiko Naka, she set out to change the way society and work takes place in Japan. And with the mission to create a world where work drives passion, she has succeeded. She has broke barriers. She has broken glass ceilings as well when she became the youngest lady to lead a public listed company. She's an inspiration to all of us, and we continue to create our impact, not just in Japan, but also here in Singapore, as I mentioned, where I lead international operations. And how Wantedly can help you is through, as you set up on your entrepreneurial journey, hiring your key hire, or hiring your summer interns, or even scaling up when you need to hire 10, 20, 30 people at speed. And we have several products, including our job portal, which is a very niche type of job portal focused on startup and tech jobs. And next slide, please, Elise. We launched our most recent product back in November last year, an applicant tracking system that aims to break away from legacy systems. Applicant tracking systems, I like to describe it as a CRM for HR, and most ATS are clunky, don't have sufficient automation tools, and just does not make HR efficient. It creates more work for HR, and we want to make sure that we solve that problem. So that's an introduction about Wantedly, but I also want to bring relevance back to our collaboration with ASN, why we are doing this together. Later on, we're going to do a poll why we are all here, but I'll share why I'm here first, if you don't mind. ASN, as Elise shared, was founded back in 2020, and the main headline back then was the pandemic. And when we were founded, it was a project that sought to help mentor early stage founders through matching with successful entrepreneurs and prolific investors. And when this project came about, I joined as a volunteer, and I saw the impact and the traction that we achieved. And later on, I joined forces with Elise to co-found Asia Startup Network. Our nonprofit has, more than 2,000 early stage investors and angels in our network, and this is huge value for startups and for founders to be involved in. And we have also made over 1,000 connections between, like I mentioned, early stage founders, founders who are fundraising with investors and corporate partners, big tech partners in the last 4 years. A lot of this is done through our community events. Over 100 events have been conducted. Today is another one to that list, and you can join us, subscribe to our newsletter to look out for the upcoming events as well. There's some happening in February and in March. Next slide, please. Where we are at, our reach, our impact, the founders' lives that we have touched is taking place across Indonesia, the Philippines, and Singapore. Founders SG is a Slack community. Telegram is another online community that's very active. It's not just a broadcast channel, but everyone can share. And also LinkedIn is where a lot of our happenings, a lot of our updates take place. Email newsletter is one which you got to join because our events happenings, our podcast release, our blog features are all shared through that. Next, please. So having introduced Wantali and ASN and also our collaboration, I'd like to share a little bit about myself and hopefully present a chance for us to exchange knowledge, learn together, and help each other. My journey with entrepreneurship started, I would say, from my university days. I went through a conventional path. I did internships with corporates, with the government sector. And for me, it was at the time when I didn't know what I didn't know until I realized that, hey, I could probably do those jobs, but I wouldn't enjoy it. So when I graduated, I took a plunge, went into entrepreneurship. I co-founded a social enterprise. And I'll tell you more a story of my first failure back then, but my social enterprise is no longer around. It's something that I miss dearly to this day. But from then on, I had learnings, right? How do I continue my entrepreneurship ambition? An early stage startup called Be My Guest, and I was there for almost 5 years and helped scale it up to Series B, where we were valued at 30 million. And this was a very intense on-the-job training for entrepreneurship for me. But one of my biggest takeaway, as I got mentorship from my founder and CEO and my mentor, was the role of a founder, the job scope of a founder is effectively fundraising. And from then on, I decided to take on my other entrepreneurship endeavor, which is to learn more about fundraising. And I helped set up a venture capital firm called OBOR VC, One Belt One Road Venture Capital. And subsequently, after that, having went through that startup tour, right, co-founded a social enterprise, built a early stage travel company, and then set up a VC. I got the opportunity to join Wantali, and I've been here for coming 6 years now. I consider it my calling because I'm helping a lot of startups grow their teams. And outside of all this, my passion to serve, my passion to build communities and ecosystems has been very consistent through the years with ASN, together with Elise, and also with my university alumni, where I serve on the board, helping 200,000 global alumni progress with their careers, progress with their connections and network building. I'd like to now invite Elise to introduce herself.
Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, so for me, my background has been more of venture capital in accelerator and incubators. So I'm very intrigued with helping founders learn as well as help to grow their company, in particular to raise money from investors. So in my time at Entrepreneur First, which is a company very similar to Ampler, I help over 40 companies to raise between 500,000 to 5 million, and they are normally in the area of deep tech. But I have also widened my scope to include non-deep tech companies, general tech, so to speak, as well as looking into SME as well. So I started with investment, but over the years, I really focus more on helping entrepreneurs to navigate their journey. And then now also hoping that some of you, would be interested to embark on your startup journey. And we'll be sharing how we can support you in the later part of this presentation. I also want to share that we have been recognized in an industry. So we were recently given the awards by the Tech Talent Assembly. So this is affiliate of NTUC. So very happy to be receiving the award. Previously, we also awarded Best Community Builder and also ACE Youth Awards. In 2020, we were also supported by Temasek to be for the Mentor for Hope mentorship program that we managed to create to help more than 300 founders to navigate their journey during the COVID period. So our partners, as you mentioned, we have thousands of them. So this could be investors, industry partners, as well as government connections. Yeah, so I think we have covered quite a bit, about ASN, Wantedly, and also about ourselves. So I'm really curious as well, why are you here? Maybe you can share the reason why you are here in the text box. We love to hear them.
Elise, personally, I've always been curious about the topic of our webinar today because I had a small debate maybe 3 years back. The topic was whether entrepreneurship can be considered a career. And from where I stand, I presented that entrepreneurship can be a career. And my counterpart, he was presenting that entrepreneurship is a lifestyle, it's not a career. And we each had our case, but I still stand by that entrepreneurship can be a career, can be a fulfilling one at that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But I also realized that while there are people who recognize that this could be an option already, a lot of us may never start a business. And maybe we can, take some time to go through some of the common barriers now. Yeah, so I think one of the most often one is no clear business idea. Because if you don't know, what business to start about, obviously you will never start. And I think the next one is one of the biggest reason, which is the fear of failure. So I come across this really interesting stats from the Ministry of Manpower, Singapore. You can see that the employers in Singapore as a percentage of employed residents actually half in the last 10 years, from 2013 to 2023. So I think this is quite significant kind of evidence, that maybe because of failure, because of various factors that people might not think about starting their own business. But we hope, what we're doing here at ASN and Wantedly, we're going to change that trend. Yeah, another reason could be lack of startup know-how, because even if you, let's say, have been spending time like maybe more than 10 years in the bank, you may not know the right information, the right concepts that will help you to start your business more effectively. So startup know-how is actually a thing. It's something that you could learn about and help you to shortcut your process to starting a business. Last but not least, it could be because you just find that there's no time, maybe due to parenthood, maybe due to your heavy workload, or you're simply lacking a structure, in your everyday life to be able to make time to even start a side hustle. Yeah, so I also want to understand, is there any reason that resonates with you? You can type the number of the reason in the box so we can get to know, what could be some of the barriers you currently face. Yeah, so I also note that there are few messages here talking about why they are here. Yeah, so JC mentioned about how he did a bit of entrepreneurship but stopped because didn't know how to grow it, and perhaps he didn't find the right mentor, and then now he's in a full-time corporate job. And then Chan, he mentioned about how this, he thinks that this session could inspire somebody who founded her own social entrepreneurship project, and then pursue entrepreneurship full-time as a career after graduation. Yeah, and then that has inspired him to take a look at how he could do that. Yeah, so thank you all for sharing. Yeah, so no matter the reason, we also want to discuss more about, how can you also overcome the barriers with our help or with, certain resources that are available. Yeah, so I think the most important thing about being an entrepreneur is, do you have what it takes? You would ask yourself whether you have that mindset. And most people, like they may think that, no, I don't have what it takes, but from what we observe from the people who've gone through our course, we think that sometimes we often underestimate ourselves and our ability. Yeah, so what if you can, and you are able to. Yeah, so I mentioned that we'll talk about some of these ingredients to be a successful entrepreneur. So, literally it's across the spectrum. You could be a fresh grad. For example, the founders of Carousel are fresh grads to start a business. You could be a mid-career professional, after having spent like 10 years in your industry, and you have identified certain problems that make your life really challenging. And that could be a problem to solve by creating a business around it. We have also seen mature working professional from 50 years old and above starting their business. And you may have read about it. The founder of KFC, McDonald's, Huffington Post, they are all well into their 50s and 60s when they start their business. So it's never too late. I think the success that I see, which is the highest, is often when you have already started working, because you have industry networks. You are able to develop, kind of your methodology to solve problems, to be resourceful, to find solutions and get the kind of mentorship, the insights that you need. So we think that, if you have been working, you're the perfect position to start a business. And of course, you need to have a strong passion in what you do. We will recommend that, because entrepreneurship can be very lonely and difficult journey. And of course, most successful entrepreneurs will have very strong resilience, because it is going to be challenging. And most importantly, there is a huge need to adapt to, the new information that you receive, or like certain challenges that come about because of like world events and so on. So now we'll talk about, some of the ways that you could overcome the barriers to entrepreneurship. Yeah, so no clear business idea is very common, but I think that all this could come from knowing yourself, because the best idea actually comes from within, from your reflections. So, before joining this, we actually send you a five strengths strength finder quiz. So this is very helpful in terms of finding out, where you could start looking to find a business idea. For me, my top 5 includes coaching, includes strategizing, all that. And I think that it really helped me in terms of crafting what's the next next step for ASN, and how and how we can grow it as a business further. You may also join hackathon. So if you have not heard of hackathon, it is usually a one-day event, sometimes 2 days, where you literally stay up and you create a business with somebody you have not met before. So this is super fun, and there's no strings attached. You can easily do it on the weekends. You could also join idea pitching events. You don't have to be pitching yourself, but you can be hearing people pitching to get an idea of what you could possibly do. At these events, it's very common to feel very inspired about, and also kind of have an idea roughly where you could look, so that you would be able to develop firstly maybe a side hustle and then a full business after that. And obviously, if you know seasoned investor or entrepreneurs, you could brainstorm with them, because especially for investors, they know about what are the gaps in the industry and what is trending, and all these are very helpful in kind of creating a business that could be started at the right time. And then I'll invite Andrew. What do you think could be the fear of failure that could be overcome?
Yeah, I think first of all, I'll put my hands up and say that I fear failure, right? And this stems from previous experience. I saw our audience did some voting on what are some of their common barriers, and I also want to acknowledge that it's not all exclusive. Like, it could be a combination of some of these points. And maybe I'll share a quick story of my failure. This was back in my startup, first startup, and it was called the Shop Collective. Our mission was to bring back the kampong spirit. We positioned it as a social enterprise because we wanted to celebrate the local community and help identify the Singapore identity. And the product or service we were offering was crowdsourced and original hyperlocal positive content. And I think you can already see how it went, right? We wanted to do so much good, but we had no clear business model. And back then we had a mentor. She's a very she's a leading figure in the social enterprise space. Her name is Elise. I think we recognize her name. She gave me this advice, right, that stayed with me today. If you want to help other people, if you want to feed other people, you must feed yourself first. And like I've shared at the beginning, Shop is no longer around. Even though I feel that the mission is still very relevant, our failure was down to a lack of business model, right? And my co-founder and she went on to pursue a full-time job. And I think she probably harbored a little bit of fear of failure, and she never went back to entrepreneurship. And for me, I'm still trying to find my way back into entrepreneurship, including working together with Elise. But the fear is still there, right? And how do we overcome that failure? I think today compared to back then, there's definitely a lot more resources and a lot more failure case studies to learn from, right? Things not to do. That's definitely one good way of learning. We can always start with structured programs to help de-risk, to help reduce chances of failure. We can reframe failure, right? And at this point, I want to share an article. I'm going to drop it in the chat. Failure is important. Failure allows you to learn. Failure shouldn't, if possible, be a stumbling block. Embrace failure, right? It's what you make out of it. And also, you can approach failure in different ways. You can approach failure very strategically. If you go in with the mindset that, hey, I'm going to fail, but I'm going to learn from it and quickly pivot, that's a way, right? You can find a low-risk way of testing your idea. And the other ways of de-risking and lowering the risk of failure when you pursue entrepreneurship as a career, there are very practical ways, right? Like, instead of hiring a full-time hire, you can hire part-timers or interns. That way you reduce your costs. Instead of going into it full-time, right at the start, you can do it part-time or as a side hustle first. And then you can also learn from others, and that's where mentorship comes in. And ASN has built such a rich network of mentors that I think it's really a head start for entrepreneurs today, new entrepreneurs today. And last but not least, it's important to find a fit between you and the type of business. Next slide, please. Just like when you start an idea, you want to test it out. One of the first things to validate and eventually confirm is whether you have product market fit. And what we are suggesting here is there's an entrepreneurship fit. There are different type of business models. There are different type of approaches, different type of adventures to undertake, right? You can do it as a side hustle. You can acquire someone's business or be part of their succession planning, or you can build a business from scratch. And each of these comes with its different levels of commitment, different level of investment, and different levels of risk. So as you understand this, which we plan to help you understand it through our resources. If you understand it, then you are able to identify a better fit. And that way you set yourself up for success better. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, I also want to, kind of highlight the point about failure, right? Because if failure, what do you define as failure? It's the same way as, you would think about what do you define as a success. for maybe your startup. So if you continue to work on something and you continue to pivot, I mean, providing that you do not go bankrupt, of course, you never stop trying. That could one day also still be successful. So why I want to bring that up is because I was working at Vertex Ventures previously, and I had a chance to interview many of the unicorns and the exited founders. And one of the stories that speak to me is this. So Joseph, he founded 17 Live. So 17 Live went public last year. However, several years ago, he tried to take the business public on NASDAQ, but that failed. So hours before it happened, they just realized they couldn't do it. There was some, issues, some misunderstanding between the investors. And at that point, he could have said that he failed. He could have ended the business then, right? And I'm sure there has been plans that were piling up and there were funding that would require because of the IPO. There were betting on the IPO. Yeah, so everything came crumbling down. But the thing is, he never thought he would throw in the towel, and every day he focused on improving the business 1% at a time. So with that, through the years, he made it through, and finally it was public. It went public, right, on Singapore Exchange. So the other thing about thinking about it is also like thinking about what is your conviction, what is your dream, and also keeping an eye, obviously, on the cash flow. And as long as you are able to manage the cash flow, you are able to sustain the business and think about how to pivot to best address product market fit, one day you could be successful. Yeah, so failure could also mean that you throw in the towel too early. So that's something that I want to highlight as well. So just to mention about the need for startup know-how. Yeah, because entrepreneurship or even starting an online business is not something new. There has been concept like Ling startup that has existed for more than 11 years, more than 20 years, and these are proven and tested. But unless you take up a course on entrepreneurship, you may not know all the concepts that can help you to supercharge the starting of your business and the growing of it in the early stages. Yeah, so I think it's really helpful to be able to practice that as well in a classroom, in a safe environment.
And we live in a world where it's easy to feel overwhelmed, right? I like this saying that I heard a month back. 1 million times 0 is still 0, right? So if you keep thinking about starting up, but you actually don't do it, you still haven't started. But the reality that we all face is sometimes we have no time or we have no structure. And I'm just going to be very open here. I have 2 young children, 3 and 8 months, and I've got my hands full. So today, if I were to, go all in and be build a business from scratch, right? That's going to be maybe too many balls that I'm juggling, and I could be dropping a ball as a result. So I want to resonate with this point first and foremost, and also, allow all of us to feel that barriers are the reality, right? But how do we overcome these barriers then? And we have some practical tips, weekend or evening courses, right? Or even quick lunch sessions such as this are easy entry to getting started. When you join an entrepreneurship program, you need to keep the momentum going. And office hours with entrepreneurs in residence or mentors or coaches, those are very helpful as well. And otherwise, in a way, a low barrier to entry is to just join startup community events, such as those offered by ASN, to meet with like-minded individuals. Then, when you build your tribe, everyone's thinking about solving a problem, coming up with an idea, testing their ideas with each other. You get that support, you get that encouragement, you get that boost as well, that, hey, you're not alone. That's super important. And of course, you build up potentially your pipeline of investors and of talents as well for when you're ready to start on your entrepreneurship journey. And talking about building your tribe, right? Today, different communities exist depending on what you're looking for. ASN is one that allows you to find like-minded folks, find helpful mentors to journey, to navigate your startup pathway together. And what these peers or even seniors or mentors serve, right? Look for those that truly want to see you succeed. Look for those that will hold you accountable. Because I go back to the first point I made for this segment, right? 1 million times 0 is still 0. So you need to be accountable. When you set your mind to it, right? We'll keep you accountable as well. Thank you.
Yeah, so we have been running the ASN Prefounder Catalyst Bootcamps. And what it is a structured program to validate your idea and to launch confidently. You get to understand the know-how as well, as I shared. That's important to how you build your business in the early stages. This is really for working professional. We have the program normally on the weekends so that you can make it. And then we think that it works really well. It's hands-on, there are expert guidance, there's peer accountability, and so on. You get step-by-step startup frameworks and knowledge, know-how, mentorship, expert guidance, business validation. You also join a community and find friends who could be, your accountability partners. We also offer exclusive tools and resources to support entrepreneurs and small teams. We just launched a partnership with Pika. So this is where you can find wholesale rates for hotel booking across the world. Previously, we launched with, a low-cost healthcare insurance for entrepreneurs with NLP, which is the online broker. So this, for the price of just $300 a year, you get 7 paid general practitioner visits and also $10,000 worth of hospital visits. So we're trying to make it much easier and more cost-effective as well for everyone to become entrepreneurs. So these are some of the programs, that we run. So we mentioned about post-event support being important. We run many founder-focused events. The objective is to network, but the other objective, which is really important, is having experts to share their stories and also tips on navigating their journey. These are usually seasoned entrepreneurs who have been there and done that, or investors who has invested in multiple entrepreneurs and are able to share what makes someone successful and how to navigate the journey, and of course to fundraise from them. We also have a angel pitching event annually. So this is your opportunity to pitch to angels. So this is usually in Q3 or Q4. So imagine that you start a business now. By Q4, you'll be ready to pitch to the angels. Whether you are able to raise money or not, this will be a really good event to be able to hear the thoughts of angels for your business, and then to network with them and build a relationship. So we have upcoming bootcamp. So usually how we structure this is that there are 6 days of self-learning. So this is where the concepts come in. And then on the 22nd February, which is Saturday itself, we have a 7 hours bootcamp. So this is where the rubber hits the road. You can ask questions about what you have learned, but we also have this important segment, which is a hackathon. So literally you will build something. So whether you have an idea or you have an unrefined idea, this is the time to put that together. And then you will learn to pitch as well to seasoned investors and entrepreneurs. We will then give you feedback. During the hackathon, they're also mentored at your disposal, to ask them questions and to improve your idea further. After the session, there's usually networking, so you can talk to everyone, network, and kind of get into the whole community and meet people. We usually don't offer early bird discount, right? But we are offering you if you join by 8 February. So you can literally sign up with your SkillsFuture credits in full, or you can put in cash of $600. Yeah, so we have limited spots available because we want to make sure that each time we run it, people get a lot out of the session, and that there are sufficient time for you to practice a pitch and to deliver the pitch and get feedback as well. And last but not least, I'm really excited to share that this time onwards, we're going to offer this price of $1,000 for the most promising idea. So this $1,000 is cold hard cash. So this is going to be like more than what you have paid for, so you get more than your money back. And we are also working with partners to provide you with $20,000 worth of credits, discounts to help you get started. Yeah. So we think that the best investment you can make is in yourself. Yeah. So most of our participants say that they gain clarity and confidence in starting entrepreneurship. And we have this testimony as well from Karishma from our previous bootcamp. She was the ex-editor-in-chief of Spectacular magazine. She really liked the pitching because that helps them to contextualize and also nail down the messaging. Yeah, she also appreciated the insights, the questions by the audience and the judges. Yeah, so we welcome you to our session. Yeah, and last but not least, if you have done the High Five Strengths Finder test that I mentioned that was sent to you when you register, feel free to share your strengths in the chat box if you wish. Yeah, and one thing that we found really interesting is that we have philo math as the top 5 in all of our participants. And we can understand why, right? Because they appreciate learning, they will pursue their interests, and then to find out as much as possible. Yeah, so if you are philo math, we welcome you definitely to the bootcamp. Okay, so now, thanks for listening to us for the last 35 minutes. We appreciate that. And I hope that you have gotten useful takeaway. So right now is really the time to ask question. Feel free to type your question in the box or to, unmute yourself and just ask the question.
Elise, we have a question from Mr. Lee.
Sorry, I'm not looking at the right screen, I think. Okay. So Mr. Lee asked, why is it more expensive for SkillsFuture credit versus cash? That's a really good answer. So for the SkillsFuture credit, we actually partner with Zillow, which is the online learning platform. So when you pay $798, it's actually subscribing to their 1-year-long program where you can you can go for a bootcamp and also get access to 15,000 micro learning courses on their platform. So that's why it's $798. However, the cash itself, if you pay cash, then you will not have access to the Zillow platform. You may additionally subscribe to the Zillow platform for the additional $198, and that's up to you. Yeah, so this is the reason why there's a difference. Thanks for the question. Yeah, so let me just type it in. So Zillow is our partner. Yeah, so Zillow primarily provide education support, learning for corporates to help upskill their own employees. So they have also set up a B2C platform where it's a subscription platform for learning. So we are essentially one of the providers of the learning content. Yeah, so feel free to check it out. So Anisha was asking, is there an element of mentorship? Can you share how it's incorporated in the capacity of domain expertise and functional expertise? I think this is a great question. So mentorship happens during the program. So I mentioned about in the 7-hour bootcamp, there is a revisit of the concepts that were delivered during the self-learning segment for the previous 6 days. And then there is a hackathon period. So the hackathon period, there are mentors who can help you with your ideas. So the mentorship will be more in terms of the business idea that you're trying to build. So depending on the background of the mentor, he or she could be an entrepreneur or investor. So they are more likely to talk about the industry itself, the opportunity that you're trying to go after. And then they may also talk about, certain ideas, related ideas that you can explore so that your market size that you're addressing is big enough. I think that's one of the key things. And of course, even though we don't only focus on tech entrepreneurship or tech startups, we focus a lot on scalability. So even if you are building a brick and mortar business, even if you are building a consultancy business, we want you to learn about how to make it a scalable business, because we know that when it's scalable, the business will outlive you, and it will also give you the opportunity to raise funding so that you're able to scale it, across Singapore and even across Southeast Asia and the world. Yeah, so our mentorship comes in that aspect. And then there's also an option to subscribe to 3 further mentorship after our bootcamp. So this will be an additional option. You can find the information on our Luma. Andrew, do you want to add anything?
No, I'll just drop the Luma link.
Yeah, great question. Feel free to ask more. Yeah, but I mean, to answer the mentorship question more widely, we for Asia Startup Network, we also run mentorship programs. So we haven't specified when we're going to launch it this year, but we are likely to launch the program this year. So when you talk about mentorship, it could be in terms of industry kind of advice, but it could also be functional, meaning, I want to know how to scale my business, and therefore from the marketing point of view. Yeah, so when that happens, we will definitely keep you all in the loop. Thanks, Andrew, for sharing the story.
Absolutely. Elise, if this is open Q&A, I also have a question I'd like to ask. I know you run a Remarkable Women in Business and Tech as well. Would love to hear a little bit about that. But specifically, would love to hear who are your women entrepreneur role models?
Okay, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I will answer the first question first. Yeah, so I also run Remarkable Woman. So Remarkable Woman is born out of International Women's Day project that I did last year in Google. And Google also run I Am Remarkable initiative across the world. So this is an initiative that more than 500,000 people have been on it. The main thing is to learn how to be comfortable with social promotion, with kind of marketing yourself on LinkedIn and so on. So from there, I thought the stories of what the women shared during the workshop after they learned the technique was really inspiring. So I added everybody to the WhatsApp group. And then from there, 70 ladies, now it grew to 410 ladies in the group. So what we do is, it's a non-profit initiative. So we do a lot of meetups. So every 2 weeks, we actually meet up on Thursday evening. So we call it the Thirsty Thursday. This is a casual networking. Yeah, so I think that many of the women have been really hard in their job, but networking wasn't something that was kind of familiar to them. So we wanted to make it more normalized. Yeah, so usually about 20 to 30 ladies would turn up and then get to know each other. We also organize talks, whether it's in terms of planning for the new year, or it's about learning from somebody who has been a LinkedIn voice and so on, and also from entrepreneurs and investors. Yeah, so we have lots of activities. So if you are a woman in this webinar, we invite you to join. It's free to join. When you join, you will know why is it so bustling and all that, because everybody is just so happy to contribute and to support each other's growth, whether they are working in tech or they are building their own business. Yeah. So in terms of women entrepreneur, I don't know whether I pronounced her name correctly, Melanie, who started Canva. I think that Canva is such a beautiful business. And the way she kind of portray herself is always like with kind of quiet power and influence. Yeah, so I really like that. And Canva has certainly been a tool that has changed our lives. I'm actually a really bad designer, but I think with Canva templates, it has helped a lot, in kind of bringing my level to next stage, something that, I can put out in the public. Yeah. And if you look at, exploitative versus redemptive point of view, I think that Canva has been a very redemptive business because, literally you pay like maybe $17 a month, but the kind of work that you're able to create, the kind of value that you're able to enjoy is so much more. And it's low barriers to anyone who's starting their own business. Yeah, so I really you know, appreciate the tool, the value is created. And thank you, Jess, for sharing. Yeah, we're really very heartened by your comment. Thank you for supporting us. Yeah, Mr. Lee, please go ahead to ask. Okay, so Mr. Lee asked what motivated me to start ASN. Yeah, so I would, to be honest, it was something random. Yeah, so it was during COVID in 2020, and I was just watching the news of how the pandemic was taking a toll on large businesses. And because I was working in an accelerator at that time, what I thought of immediately was, how founders of small businesses with less resources and cash flow able to survive the pandemic. And then, and my role at the time was also to do investor relations. So I already have a network of investors. So I simply reach out to them and ask via email, right? Mass email everybody, whether any of them is willing to mentor founders for free. So I was really heartened that, in one day, 60 investors actually say yes, they would mentor the founders for free. And I got all of them to fill out a form. It was simply about, what the industry they are investing into, what skill set they have, what stage they could mentor, right? And then because I already know lots of accelerators and incubators, so I reached out to them and asked them to spread the message about the mentorship. So in the end, we have also friends coming on board, like Andrew, to support us. So we have 300 plus entrepreneurs who sign up, and then we match them to 250 mentor. The mentor group also grew to be more than just investors. It includes people who work in tech as well. We also have a friend, she's called Janet. She also bring in the fundraising aspect. So we simply ask founders who are able to afford it to donate $50 per hour of mentoring that they receive. So we collectively raised about 43,000 for the charities that we especially chose to work with, which is Willing Hearts Soup Kitchen. That was serving food to 7,000 individuals. Many of them are impacted by the COVID during that time, as well as Beyond Social Services, because they were taking care of the families of 5 and above who are earning below a certain amount of income per month. Yeah, so that was really meaningful. So I would say that this is something random, but through the process, it made me realize, what are my strengths? What are the things that I could easily do but bring value to people. And over time, I have the support of people like Andrew, our volunteers, our partners, our investors. And together, we are a community to help more people to become entrepreneurs and to help them with their journey so that we can realize the dream that we have. We can bring our talents to benefit the rest of our community and the world at large. Yes.
Yeah, so I do have a question. So maybe if yeah, there's I think I just found something that's really I think first of all, thank you for sharing having this amazing session where we can have all this essentially talking about entrepreneurship as a career, which this is something I plan to do so over the next few years. Hopefully, after rather clearing my qualifying exams for a PhD degree, and I also found I met someone today, and I was I'm not gonna tell you exactly where, but when I just we got to I just got to know that person, and she's a first year undergrad at SMU right now. She has a social initiative that she started while back in Polytechnic, and it's called STUDRYL, so something like Cheryl. Yeah, so it's not what Cheryl was saying, but it's a combination of two words, student and Cheryl, and if she has a really inspiring story of success, and I believe that she's also a really good student entrepreneur as well, especially since both of us are really in the social impact space. And if there's a really opportunity, would you mind to speaking to her, discussing anything, and introduce Asia Startup Network and all the excellent opportunities, and even having the benefits of pursuing entrepreneurship as a career to her as well, and maybe I'm not really sure how she feels about that, but I want to see how it goes. Like, do you have like any thoughts about that, this idea?
Yeah, thank you for sharing, and also, for thinking for your friend. We invite her to join our events. The events are a great way to get to know other people and also to learn as well. We have thematic events throughout the year. So last year we mentioned about Angels Arena, which is about angel pitching, pitching to angels. But we also have a flagship event, usually led by Andrew, which is the healing and thriving together. So there's more on mental wellness. We also talk about how to manage your company wealth, your own wealth, so that you will maintain cash flow for your company. We also talk about things like, health tech, aging tech last year. So we're likely to have one this year as well. We also have lots of industry mixer. We have one that is coming up, which is on healthcare and med tech. So this will be across investors, industry practitioner, and entrepreneurs.
Thank you for all the questions and all the sharing. And, just want to say the Prefounder Catalyst also has a good diversity. What I mean by that is we have participants who are undergraduates. We have participants who are mid-career switchers. We also have participants who are senior leaders looking to transition out of conventional employment and, start their first job, start their first business, even at, say, 50 or 60 years old. So we welcome this diversity because the unique experiences that everyone brings to the table creates a more vibrant learning opportunity. So for anyone who's an undergraduate or fresh graduate to someone who's maybe looking to transition into a different career pathway, feel free to check out our bootcamp, talk to us, ask us questions, or look at our testimonials from our past participants.
Yeah, thank you everyone, for taking this time taking time out of your lunch to join us. We'll be sharing our recording and then also the links that we have provided. So yeah, we hope to see you at the upcoming events or our bootcamp. Yeah, have a great week ahead.
We have a question from Mr. Lee, is it? I think we have time for one final question.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Lee, you're good? All right. So Elise, thanks for wrapping that up. And if you go to the next slide, I guess the audience can also see how to get in touch with ASN. And from Wantali and ASN, we wish you a continued prosperous Lunar New Year. I guess when you go visiting, people will ask you, hey, what are you doing now? Or hey, what are you going to do? And maybe your answer could be, I'm going to start a business. Yeah. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah, if they are thinking of starting a business themselves, do refer to them, our program, and also Asia's Network. Thank you. Happy 人日.
Yes, happy birthday.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.